Hello, hello, hello. What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? Just make sure this is on. Do 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 do. Right, I'm just debating what to play for tomorrow for the 1000th stream. I think 525. That. I think these, yes, all my action. Just do fucking. Bet better 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 do. Bet better 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 do. Bet better 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 do. Bum 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 bum. Love the man. Do that sounds. I fell into a burning ring of fire. All right. What else do we selection for tomorrow? I fell into a burning ring of fire, and it burns. Sad. So tomorrow, if I start for like 2, 3, you've got the Scoop Sunday kickoffs. Yeah, sounds good. All right. So what I've done is I've got a load of tag spots from the past week or so. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna do an hour. Oh shit. Sorry, it's repeating. It was repeating myself. Sorry about that. Cool. Yeah, let's do it. Aldo, what's happening, lad? How are we, lad? Let me just drag all these this way. Live on YouTube as well. All right, and then if I open up one, for instance, actually, can I do? It's the easiest way of doing this. If I do like this here, open up GTO Wizards. All right, so that's GTO Wizard there. I forgot I got this screen set up, actually. Fucking hell. I'm more organized than I thought. I completely forgot that I've got this overlay made. Oh, no, sorry, that I made this overlay. It doesn't show the full screen, that, though, does it? So it would need to be like that. All right, so let's do it like that. Let's do photos being like this. It doesn't look that good though, that does it? Maybe like that. And if I do that, does that open up like that? Yeah. Yeah, that's all right. Yeah, and I can zoom in. Yeah, that's all right. Bum, 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 bum. Does that zoom in now? No. What's happening, the boys? Jordan Battenfield. Tune name then, lads. That was Casablanca by Lilia Mandare. Can I share you it? I'll share you the link, lad. Go, brother. So so I'm just gonna do an hour study stream. Reason being is it's my 999th stream today. So in order for to make it my 1,000th stream tomorrow to play the 1,000 scoop main event, I would need to stream today. So that's why I'm throwing in a random 1 hour study stream on a Saturday. I'm literally doing an hour and then I'm gonna go to the cinema with my fiance, her mate, and my best mate. So yeah. Bit of a random one, but I thought, you know what? It's got to be done. It's got to be done. And yeah, it means my 1,000th ever stream. Can you believe? Let me just show you as quick. Because it's quite hard to believe. It's quite hard to believe, but look at this. Active days, 999. So it is my 1,000th. So that obviously active days means how many days you've streamed. Pretty wild to see, man. Pretty fucking wild to see. 999 days, 750k hours watched, peak viewers 2,895, average viewers 121. Pretty wild. Pretty wild. 6,235 hours streamed. How mad is it that I done 1,000 of them in 100 days? Pretty fucking crazy. Pretty fucking crazy. Not playing the 5k main event, just playing the 1k main event. I don't think there is the 5k, right? Isn't it I'm sure it's a 100, so I'll play the 100 main, I'll play the 1k main. I'm going to play I was debating selling for the GG Masters 1k, but I just think it's a little bit too much. I'm going to sell and play the 500 bounty main on GG instead, because I feel like that's a better tournament. It'll be a softer tournament. I just feel like I just feel like the GG Masters high roller, the 1k, doesn't excite me as much as playing the 1k scuba. I was thinking of potentially playing both. What do you reckon? But I just don't think it's that good of a tournament, to be honest. I don't think it's that good of a tournament. All right, let's get into it. Does that show doesn't show the whole thing, that though, does it? But fuck it. Decent numbers for a sausage. Not bad for a little scouse sausage. Yeah, I mean, I could sell action on both. What I could do is I could just list action in the 1k, and then if it doesn't sell out by the time I come to play it, then I just won't play it. You know what I mean? Yeah, I feel like that 1k high roller, I feel like the PKOs on GG are a lot softer. For example, though, the 500 main event is a 1.5 mil guarantee, and the GG Masters high roller is the 750k guarantee. So the 500's a double, but obviously it's the 1k. It's my 1k stream. So playing two 1ks would be pretty fucking sick, wouldn't it? But I feel like focusing on the 1k scoop main event, and then having the 109 scoop main event. I don't want to play too many crazy big high rollers at once. So I think having the 1k, having the 100 main, having the 500 main, having the 200s, having the 150 GG Masters, that's already like 5, 6 I'm going to be playing at once. So that's probably enough, you know what I mean? All right, let's get into it. So what would you guys do in this spot? This is a really interesting one I played, actually. So I open. We've got a reg Alex. This guy's a very good reg. 3 bets us. From the cutoff, I 4-bet non all in with kings, and they make the call. Flop comes the 9-2-7, 2 hearts. I don't have any hearts. I go for the B20. I bet 20%. They call. And in the Turnham, I was debating two things. I was debating between bet non all in or bet all in. I went with the all in because it was a stack to pot ratio of 1. Just given that, I am going to jam with my bluffs. So obviously, I need to then balance that with some of my value. I would prefer to bet, I think, non all in with the king of hearts in my hand rather than the king of diamonds and the king of clubs. But yeah, I mean, I'd be jamming hands like ace king, ace queen of hearts, ace king, ace queen of diamonds, ace 5, ace 4 of hearts, ace 4, ace 5 of diamonds. So yeah, I went for the jam here. But what do you guys think? Let's have a little look, shall we? So effective stack. We were round about 70 big blinds, and yeah, this is Chippy V. Yeah, it was pretty early on, yeah. So yeah, if you do want to try this out for free, guys, exclamation mark GTO and chat. So I open, they raise, we make the 4-bet with the kings, which obviously pure. And we can see what they... so this is the type of range that I'm 4-betting. So obviously we've got 4-betting for value, 4-betting as bluff, so like the ace-queen. I'm not using enough of these, probably. Yeah, so I did mention about ace-4, ace-5 that I'd be using. I also call them as well, ace-3. Yeah, I'm probably not using these. I think 4-betting these for value is nice. For bluffs, getting some like ace-10 off, ace-jack off to fold, king-queen off. Using some king-10 suited, ace-queen off, yeah. And then this is his calling range. So you can see his calling range is still relatively wide. In position here, not really folding too many suited combos. If you sell it and it doesn't sell, yeah, exactly. To be honest, mate, you can do it. You can tick. No, let me list it. You know what? I'll do this hand and I'll list it. You can tick something if it doesn't fully sell out. Then you can. It cancels the action, and you don't have to play it, type of thing. So yeah, which is good. Which is a good. Cool. All right, what I'll do is I'll do the AI feature. So just to get the exact like information. So on the flop was 30.5. And then he had what, like 50. Just quickly do a calculator. 50.8 plus 7.6. What I can do here is I can roughly do what I would actually be 4-betting in game, which is this is such an so what I do is I use GTO Wizard to do articles. This is such an important feature when you're studying your own hands, because I'm personally not 4-betting a bunch of these hands. So what I'll do is I'll just remove a bunch of these hands. So I personally don't 4-bet these. Don't 4-bet that. I'm 4-betting ace king off pure here. Maybe half the time I'm doing ace queen suited instead. So I'm personally not 4-betting these. And then I was doing like half. So I do something like this in terms of my 4-betting range. So again, this is important, right? Because then I can see... I now know this isn't optimal, but what I can see is the optimal strategies for actually playing with your actual ranges in game, right? So this is the obviously really sick AI feature that GTO Wizard does. I'm going to leave his range similar because it's a sicko reg. So I'd say he's probably going to be close to GTO. So yeah, then you create solution, and then you put in the information. So it was 927. Can't deposit on GTO, buy some. All good, lad. All good. All good, brother. Must spend some McCoy with something, lad. Yeah, I mean, it's. I've only ever got one 1,000th stream. You know what I mean? That's like gonna be the big. Who's giving a fuck about the landmark of 1,500 or even like 2,000? Like 1,000's the big one, and it's yeah. Let's just go big or go home, boys. Fuck it. Fuck it. All right, so interestingly enough, it wants us the B40 on this flop. I do actually go for the B. Where are we? I go for the B20, so 7.6 bigs. So let's see the E differences, the EV differences in that. So 7.6 bigs, actually 25% I do. So you can see here that, yeah, it does it sometimes. It does it sometimes. It mostly prefers the B40%, which makes sense on this board. I personally thought that just in general in 4-bet parts, that you mostly want to use B25%. But yeah, it's good to see that. Obviously, this is why we study, because it's good to see that the optimal size is B40. Is it B40? Can you see if I make it like this? That's better, isn't it? You can see the full thing then. Do that, yeah. So again, obviously, so you can see the EV differences here with kings. It's not that different. It'd actually be the EV is actually better to check here than to use my size. But yeah, with my specific combo of the diamonds and clubs, the highest EV play was the B40, then it's the check actually, then it's the B70, 25%. I personally never check here. I just like c-bet range. So what I could do is just node lock and just give myself c-bet and range here to be 25% only. So yeah, that's probably again better than because I'm just be 25% with range. Yeah, because that's what actually the strategy I'm using in game, right? So time starting tomorrow. I'll probably start around about 2 p.m. tomorrow, lads. I think 2 p.m. is when the scoops kick off. So I'll just slowly get into the session. Start to get into the smaller events, and then I think there's a nice 500 PKO scoop as well. So basically, just play as high as possible without breaking the bank. Big stream, man. And also as well, it's going to be my final. It's going to be my final Sunday stream for like ages, for probably a few months. So going back to like not streaming on Sundays. So we go big or go home, baby. All right, so this is their strategy versus this. They essentially, when I see bet range here, just don't fold on it. Which again, I think a good reg's going to know to do. So yeah. And then the turn was the 8 of diamonds. Interesting. So we actually check. So it's saying that we either want to be checking or big betting, just because the 8 connects so much to their range. So what I did was I thought about potentially using like a 2E size here, which is geometric. So using the same percentage on the flop on the turn than the river. But yeah, you can see it doesn't like doing that, which is good. So essentially, we just want to check or jam. You can see that it does prefer to jam when you don't have a heart or a diamond in your hand, which makes a lot of sense. Obviously, unblocking the flush draws that are going to potentially call that you need protection from as well. But it actually does prefer just to mostly check. Jamming more like 10s, which makes sense because they block the straights. They need a lot more protection. Same with jacks. So yeah, we can check or We can check or jam. You can see that I did. It was never between check with my hand. It was between bet small or jam, and you can see that that jamming is obviously higher EV. So, but yeah, a lot more checking than I probably thought. I did think potentially I get to jam these, which yeah I do, with the diamonds and the hearts, and then when we do jam, this is their calling range. So yeah, you can see here that they with a pair and a flush draw they have to call us. Um, But you can see here the reason why we check a lot is that they have all the best hands in their range now. Sorry, you can see that the sorry. Yeah, so the EV, the equity still is in our favor, but then you can see that they have a bunch of good hands. They still have a bunch of weak hands though, but we do have the best hands, which makes sense. Wait, why is that? Nah, sorry. That's the cut-offs range, isn't it? I'm completely confused there. Yeah. So this is why we have such a big check. And so when you're using GTO wizards and you start to see like why are we doing a bunch of checking here? You go into ranges, you go to the range comparison. So you can see on the flop here, for instance, that look at the range comparison. So they actually have on this board, which is interesting. They have higher EV, but our equity is higher, and we have the best hands on this board. We have a high percentage of best hands, but actually the equity shifts in their favor. So look at all of the best hands that they have in their range, which we actually don't have. Which we actually don't have. It's really interesting. So they have all the sets here. They have all the two pairs. They have the straights, which we don't have. So that's why we've got to check a lot. Interesting. Oh, Derby kicks off at midday. I'll sound that sound. So is it the Derby and is it the League Cup final? Is it? Cool. All right, let's move on to the next one. Ah, yeah, this was a really interesting one. I played against the Reg. So I defend big. They open button. They check. Sorry, they see bet flop. I call. I thought about check raise and flop, but I feel like having some. I did say, I remember on stream, that having some like weaker ace-x here to balance our calling range is pretty decent. So I do make the call. They bet 10, we easy call, obviously with a gut shot, blocking the straight. And I actually donk lead on this river, which I don't know whether it's a thing, but because of that scenario, you tend to see donks when the equity shifts in your favor, like we've just seen then. And I feel like this shifts in my favor of how I have a lot more 5x than they do. I have all the 5x of spades, 5x of like queen fives, ace fives, like 5 6s. Yeah, or like the 5 4s that have a good shot on the flop. So felt like I get to do some donking. So let's have a little look, shall we? So to start the hand, we had be like 36, be like 38 bigs effective. Today. What's important though is they open there. So they've got 18 bigs, which means that they're gonna, and it's a PKO. So, and today they don't cover me, but they cover them. So let me try and see if I can get some form of like, some like PKO. This is a short one. It's like 90% left. Actually, what I can probably do is just do this. Let's do this. New custom solutions. All right, cool. So they see bet range, I think it's 25%, which I think is standard to watch, which most people do. So we go with that, and then I think definitely I would be playing something like this. I probably wouldn't be having as many check raises, just because I cover them for a bounty. So maybe I'd be a little bit more aggressive with like my flush draws to try and want to run it on the flop, but it probably would be something like this, like check raising the odds, spade draw and combo draw and stuff like this. So this is probably and you can see here that we don't really want to check raise much ace x, which is interesting. Yeah, it's something that I probably don't do as much. I do check raise a lot of my ace x here, specifically like top of the range. So it's good to see that we do mostly just call here, which is pretty nice. The turn was a 3. It'd be interesting if we have donks on this board. On this turn, we do. Yeah, we do. It's a pot though, which is really interesting. So let's say if we do. Normally you see donks like small, like 25%, 30%. But you can see here that actually prefers just like bet and pot, which I really like actually. Like this isn't taken into account that this is a bounty tournament, but I actually do really like this. Actually, you know what? Yeah, you see this a lot on ace high boards, just going super polarized and like putting them to the test because they've got so much ace x. But it's really interesting here. They're using like these hands, like specifically. Interesting. But I in game wasn't using any donks. What I'll do is I'll just do that. But it's good to see that with that we can be playing some donks, but bet and pot is pretty wild. All right, so they are meant to go geometric in terms of bet and pot as well, which they don't in game. So I imagine that they just simplify and they were just using a this size in terms of the 6.9 bigs rather than the pot, which makes a lot of sense. So they do go for the bet again. We go for the call. Do you see have some raising here with like the combo draws, which is pretty nice. So I had ace 5 and it is doing some raising, but with my specific combo, it is just going to be calling. And now this is the main question that I wanted to answer was, do we have donks on this river card? The answer is no. So it's given a all-in size and a B67. Let me use the size that I used in game, so B 25%, 23%. You can see that there is a little tiny little slither, but yeah, no, not really. When we compare the ranges, yeah, you can see this is why. So even on this river card, you can still see that everything is in the favor of the button range rather than the big blind, which I thought wasn't the case. But if we look at the best hands here, yeah, they've got all like they've got the similar amount of 5x than us, but they've also got all the two pairs and the sets, which we haven't got on this board, right? It's like the ace queens, the aces, the queens. So yeah, this makes sense because they open these suited 5x, right? And also we don't defend pre with the, if we look at our range on the flop, we don't really have much 5x, offsuit 5x. And a lot of the offsuit 5x ends up folding on the turn anyway to a big size. So if we look versus this, yeah, you can see now all the offsuit 5x. Yeah, we don't actually call it on the flop, to be fair. So we don't actually have that much offsuit 5x, yeah. All right, cool. Cool. Yeah, so the main takeaway is we don't have donks. We can have donks on the turn, but on this river card, we don't, which is handy to know. This wasn't really an interesting one, to be honest. One interesting ones we can pick at. This was an interesting one. So under the gun opens, I go for the 3-bet from the small blinds with pocket eights. They make the call. I big size flop. So my first question is, do we play checks and big sizes on this flop? Because this is what I personally do. And then I end up just check folding on the turn, which, again, I feel like they've just got all the sets on this board. They've got all the 5x, which we haven't got because I don't 3-bet. They've got like the 6-5 suited, the ace 5s, the pocket 5s, the 5-4 suited, which I haven't got. So I felt like this is a 10 that I just get to check fold on. But yeah, let's have a little look. So we're playing around about what, like 50 big blinds effective, 55. All right, so first what we need to do is my 3-betting range. So this is the suggested 3-betting range from the small blind versus under the gun 1. This probably seems close to what I do, to be honest with you. You can actually see that 8s isn't in there, which is interesting. So do need to add that into the mix. Yeah, I think this is reasonable, to be honest with you. I potentially maybe am not doing queen 10, jack 9, but I know to do the suited connectors. Maybe I'll just throw on that half. King 10 suited, maybe do half. I know to do these probably half the time there, half the time there, half the time there. Yeah, seems reasonable. Maybe queen 10, king queen off, ace jack off. I'm doing. Maybe ace 10 off as well. Pure doing ace king. Yeah, cool. And then this is their calling range, which I think seems reasonable. Actually, no, it does not. Because I don't think people are going to have as many of these hands. So I think we can fully remove aces. I think we can fully remove. I think we can fully remove these. Jacks maybe like half the time. And then, yeah, maybe this seems reasonable. Let me see, actually. Yeah. Maybe people more do the lower pairs as well. Maybe just give them pure. Yeah. All right, so first question was, do we play checks or big bets? The answer is yes, we do. The big size that I use here is 50%, and you can see that this is the suggested one by the solver, which is nice. So let me just test some other sizings here. So maybe if we went like 3E here, let's see what that would be in terms of sizing up for a like perfect river jam. Wood 3E is 50%, so that's good. So yeah, don't need to check any others. So we did do the perfect size here. Yeah. Cool. It's pretty much like just mixing every combo. Yeah, cool. You can see them at the call. So let me first actually let me see there. So already this is quite a dicey situation because you can see here if we can compare the ranges that they actually have higher EV. We have the higher equity, but because they're in position, they have the higher equity realization. We have the better best hands here, the aces, kings, queens. But you can see that they have the better best, the better good hands, which is which is really interesting. But obviously that shifts on the turn when the two of diamonds pops off. So yeah, you can see us continued strategy, pure checking aces, continue betting like the likes of kings, queens, jacks, tens, heavy check on the pocket eights. You can still see that we do bet specifically with the diamonds, which we didn't have in game. So yeah, we had the heart and the spades, which this one is. So yeah, the highest EV play is to check. They end up going for the little bit bigger than this. So they go for the 10.5 bigs. And I end up just going for the check folds, which was a mistake. Does have them though, betting these type of hands, like all of these, and I just don't know if people are doing that. I mean, I have no information on this guy, but so what we now know is, right, versus a balanced betting range, I shouldn't have folded eights. But what's important is maybe humans don't play like this. Maybe if this was a sicko reg, maybe a sicko reg is going to play like this. But let's say we give him more checks, less bets. So let's say we just bump that up 10%. So let's say we just do, right, 10% more checking. And then let's see what our response is. All right, so you can now see that eights is still a call, but it's obviously winning less by making the call. So, but yeah, you can still see that it was a mistake to call eights here. If we do compare the ranges here, you can see look at their equity realization, man, 140% compared to 54% to me. This is why I end up making the fold with eights because it's just so difficult to like realize your equity here with a hand like pocket eights on this type of board. You now can see look at all their best hands. They've got 35% best hands compared to my 5%. So this is why they've got the massive advantage in EV, the massive advantage in equity, and the massive advantage in both the equity realization and the best hands. So I don't hate my fold here. I mean, it's not winning crazy amounts by calling, but you can still see that is a mistake. It is a mistake. See that one? So what happens here then? So yeah, this is a pretty sick one. So it goes, I open under the gun, button 3-bets me, I make the call. Flop comes the ace 10-3. It goes, they bet, I call. Turn goes check, check. And then I turn my hands into a bluff. So I think it's fairly standard up until the river, but now it's like, right, what do we bluff? What do we bluff? Because obviously straights get there, that we call flop. We get flush draws get there, that we call flop. We've got potentially maybe pairs with a spade to turn into a bluff instead, targeting the 10x to fold. So we've got hands like pocket nines, pocket eights, pocket sixes, fives, fours with a spade. Potentially we could use as a bluff. But yeah, I mean, this is the bottom of my suited 10x. So my question was on the river, is this too much to bluff on the river here? Do we also want to jam here, which I did, or do we want to just like bluff this? And yeah, what hands do we get to fold here? So these are my questions. So let's have a little look. So effectively, we were playing what, like 40, 45, 50. All right, so they 3-bet us with a range like this, which I think reasonable. I end up making the call with something like this, which again I think is reasonable. I can slightly alter it if we do the post-flop AI. So, in terms of like adapting to exactly what my range would be. So, so yeah, you can see here that the 10-9 suited is the bottom of my suited 10x. Yeah, I think this looks reasonable, to be honest with you. I think this looks reasonable. Yeah, I can't really see much changes, to be honest. Maybe I'm calling it a little bit more like queen 9, king 9, jack 9. Yeah, I think this looks fucking reasonable. Maybe more ace 5. Yeah. Maybe even like never calling jacks, 10s. Yeah, reasonable. All right, so we obviously don't have any dunks on this, so we can just remove them. So in game, they go for bigger than the B25. They use, they actually use 5.75 bigs. So this is what's really sick. Obviously, like I do suggest to use solvers, guys, but this is why obviously I'm affiliated with GTO Wizard, but it is hands down the best tool to use and the easiest because like we're reviewing real hands here. So we're also using real ranges that I'm personally using in game, but also real sizing. So obviously if you keep the sizing of 25%, you don't know the actual optimal strategies of playing against the 5.7 big blinds actual size they used in game, right? But what I can do is just quickly change the size they actually use in game, and then we can see the actual optimal strategies of playing against that, right? So I think what I can do is, yeah, which I think is reasonable. I think most people probably just see bet range on this board in a 3-bet pot. Um, but yeah, maybe I'll just keep it like this way because I don't know that for a fact, but I know what I personally do on a sideboard. So but we could just keep it as that in terms of maybe. So the size says to me that they're not like a sicker reg, so maybe they do check some of these hands back. You know what I mean? But you can see here that yeah, 10-9 suited is it's raising sometimes, which is really interesting. So yeah, I think if I had node lock here and I just like personally, I wouldn't be check raising here with 10-9. So yeah. Can just quickly node lock that. Oh shit, is it saying it's folding? All right, I'm definitely not folding it. Really interesting. Now we do have some donk leads, which I didn't think was a thing in 3-bet pots, but let me have a look at the range comparison. So you can see now that it's because we have a lot more flushes in our range. So if you look at our range on the left compared to their range on the right, we do have interesting though, because it says the best hands that we have more of, but we don't really. Like they still do have a bunch of flushes. I think they probably have more flushes than we do. I think it's because we've got King Jack, King 10, King 9 in our range, but still interesting. So they have a lot more good hands, you see. I mean, the EV and the equity does shift in our favor, which is why we have donks. But yeah, really interesting. So what I will do though is I will remove the donks because I wouldn't have been playing donks in game. Which I don't think most people do anyway. So, and then this is their form of strategy. So just go check, check. And then the river is the 7 of hearts. So yeah, you can see now the all-in size is the play. You can see that if we go to the summary of hands, sorry, the filters, we can see here. So if we come do the low pairs, so I did talk about potentially these with a spade 10 in their hands into a bluff. They are all 10 in their hands into a bluff, all the lower pairs. You can see the third pair, the 10-9. So, for example, Jack 10 suited isn't 10 in their hands into a bluff. But King 10 is. And then, yeah, 10-9 is. Which is really nice. Really nice. Really, really, really nice to find. You can see that we do have some like non-all-in sizes. So it is using like Queen 10, for instance, as the non-all-in size. We'll value betting the ace queens of the world, ace 7s of the world with a non-all-in size. But when we do compare, and we see what hands we actually get to fold here. Actually, it was a bit less in game, wasn't it? It was a little bit less in game. So maybe I just need to change that slightly. But yeah, because it was like, what, 5 big blinds less in game. So maybe that's important, but it's still. We can see this hands that actually we get to fold here. So yeah, you can see like we do get some 2 pairs to fold. We get a bunch of top pairs to fold, actually. Ace X to fold now with a jam. We get kings to fold. We get a bunch of like 10x to fold, Queen X to fold. Nice. They don't actually have any straights. Yeah. We just get everything to fold pretty much when we jam. So yeah, that's a really nice find. Let's mix it up here and do a heads up hand. So yeah, this is a really interesting one actually. So I end up going for the raise here. They 3-bet me to 55k. Oh, I don't know why I didn't save this in big blinds. That's annoying. I make the call. Flop comes the ace queen 6. They see bet flop. Small, I call. 10 comes the king, and they just go all in. And I end up making the fold. So I think in theory we're probably going to have to call this one because they are actually going to have enough bluffs. But I personally didn't think that this specific opponent did have enough bluffs. So let's have a look. Let's have a look at what the theory says, and then what I could do is node lock it, and then I can not give them the bluffs that the solver's doing, and then I can kind of see what is the optimal play against that. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, let me just quickly work out the stack sizes. So, who had more chips? I think it was them, was it? Yeah. All right, so we're playing like 20 bigs effective, essentially. So. Let me just see if my misses are. Wait 1 sec. Sorry about that. Start to wake the fucking misses up. All right, so this is our strategy. This is our range. They end up 3-betting us. What do they 3-bet us to? 5.5 bigs. So you can see here, it's something like this, which I think is reasonable. And we make the call. So yeah, I was gonna say actually, I was like, do we ever like 4-bet rip in here with King Jack suited? The answer is no. The answer is no. The answer is no. No, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna use the AI solve. Because then what I can do is I can actually import what type of range. So I don't think like people. I just don't think people do the 3-betting with these type of hands. You see. So what I'll do is I will. I'll probably just give a range where I think's like reasonable. So they probably people call like too much like that. I just don't think people 3-bet like bluff as well, like this specific type of guy. So they probably call too much of these type of hands. Maybe they use some like 3-bet bluffs with like these like offsuit ace-x potentially. And then probably call stuff like this. Maybe they know what to do like this. So I think this is probably reasonable. Maybe just do like half of these, something like that. I mean, mine's all over the place, but yeah, whatever. Right, so they're meant to be 50 on this board. Ace, queen, six. In game, they go for a, what, B26. Easy call with the king, jack. Interesting here, actually, versus this range. Like king, jack of spades is now, like, not actually, like, winning a massive amount. Yeah, so they just play all in or folds, which is reasonable. And yeah, we did make the fold with King Jack, which is nice. Versus this range, that's good. So yeah, I think if we were to solve this in terms of they have all this junk and stuff, then yeah, it probably ends up maybe would be a lot closer. But versus this specific range, which I think's just a reasonable range to give this a human, right? Even you could say that potentially that they're actually just jamming like aces as well, potentially. Yeah, we do just fold King Jack, so we essentially just fold all King X. We want top pair to call, we want two pair to call, we want sets to call. So yeah, that's good. That's good that I found that in game. Very, very, very good that I found that in game. Very nice. Let me get another interesting one. This is pretty interesting. Yeah, this is pretty interesting actually. So I open. It's a PKO 108. I open Jack 10 off from middle position or under the gun one. Under gun plus one. Big blind makes the call. I see bet flop on a king 5-5 board. Turn comes a queen, so I have an open ender. I go for a turn bet. And then the river comes the 8 of clubs, and I decide not to bluff with the jack of clubs in my hands, which I think's pretty interesting. I, on reflection, think I should probably size 10 to set up geometrically for a river jam. So I personally think that the solver is going to want to do something like maybe bet pot on the turn, and then that would size up for a pot on the river, I imagine. And then as played, I think it probably wants to be all in with my hand. I think it probably wants to be all in with my hands. Because, like, yeah, we don't love blocking the Jack 10. Jack 10 hands is what we've got to try and get to fold. But what else are we bluffing? That we, like, bet flop, bet turn. I think if we're not bluffing this, I think we can give up with, like, Jack 10 without a club. I think Jack 10 specifically with the Jack of clubs Maybe we get to not bluff Jack 10 with the 10 of clubs. It is a really interesting hand, actually. All right, let's have a look. Ba-da-ba-boom, ba-da-ba-boom. We'll run it as a ICM, whatever. Yeah, we'll do it as a PKO. We'll do it as a PKO. Yeah. Interesting here that yeah, because they have a lot more 5x than we do. They actually have donks for pot, which is pretty fucking sick. I've seen this before, but obviously humans don't. So we'll go with the humans response. Really, really interesting here. It's a lot more checking than I thought. It's a lot more checking than I thought. A lot more checking than I thought. So I personally would just see bet and range here. So let me see my response versus this. So they're still check raising this type of range, but then when I bump it up to see bet and range here, so they essentially just don't play calls. They just play raises. Which again is not happening. So this is why, like, I don't mind c-bet and range here, because this is the type of response that they're meant to play here, but obviously population don't, right? So let's give them let's only give them like 11% raises, and then the rest calls, right? Like 49. So this is probably what, like, actual like humans playing. So this is why, like, when you see it and like you see here that, yeah, and this is why it's really interesting, the node lock feature. Like when you actually import U to be c-bet and range and you see the optimal response, if someone's not doing it, this is why c-bet and range on this board is just really good, because people potentially are overfolding to a c-bet, and they're also not check raising enough on this board as well. So. Shit. Interesting saying that though. I think they are still like raising all their 5x on this board. So what I'm gonna do is, if we do, yeah, maybe let's bump up the raising frequency to like 12% then. Yeah, I don't think anyone's like not check raising all their 5x. So then if we do hand classes, we go on trips. Can you like highlight that? Yeah, there we go. There we go. There we go. So again, this is what I think's reasonable in terms of like what an actual human is going to be doing. I don't think like actual humans are not going to be check raising 5x here. Which is important, right? Because it'll massively affect your turn strategy if they have a lot more traps in their range, a lot more 5x, which this is important because a human isn't. You know what I mean? Which is that affects the whole rest of the hand. So yeah, again, a human's not going to be dunking. Yeah, so like I predicted, that the solver just wants to go geometric, which is overbet part. I did think it would be pot, but it's overbet part. It's overbet part. And then we compare that to my size. I used was 6.4 bigs. Can see it is using it sometimes. It is using it sometimes. You can see Jack 10 off. Basically, the EV is the same. The EV is the same. So we do have Jack 10 with the Jack of clubs. Yeah, it does prefer a check or geometric size. So we did use that. And you can see here that, again, this is the type of range. I think this, again, is reasonable. Yeah, I think this is reasonable. But this is the most important thing that we were concerned about. Again, I think we can remove donks. I don't think... Yeah, I just don't think they'd be having donks on this river card, to be honest. Once I have, like, open pre, bet flop, bet turn. Yeah, there we go. There we go, yeah. So I did say potentially with the 10 of clubs we get to check back, but no. Still just going all in. Still just going all in. So as played, if in terms of my 10 size, we should just be all in with Jack 10. So let's look at our bluffs here. So if we look at ace highs here, yeah, you need to start bluffing some ace highs, which is pretty interesting. Yeah, I'm just not bluffing enough here. Not bluffing enough. Yeah. Yeah, really interesting. So you essentially have to start dipping into bluffing some ace highs, getting them to try and fold somewhat. If we jam here, getting them to try and fold some like top pairs. Wow, yeah. So you want to essentially block the top of their range. So the top of their range in terms of the queen X is like the ace queens of the world, and then unblock like the bottom of this king X. Yeah, I'm just not bluffing enough here. I mean, I wasn't a million miles away, so you can see that it does give up with like Jack 10 without a club. But yeah, Jack 10 with a club, you just want to, because when we go all in here, obviously the flushes is what's going to call us the most, right? Full houses, flushes, trips they don't really have of. Yeah, so it's mostly just flushes. It's mostly just flushes. Because even like top pairs here, we get to fold a lot. But as played, we should have probably bet part, they call, and then it comes the, what, 8 of clubs. They check, and then we're just all in. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Cool. All right, I'll do a couple more hands because then I've got to go to the cinema. Let's find a juicy one, shall we? Um, this one's pretty interesting, actually. This one's pretty interesting. Let's do this. So this is in the Zodiac High Roller, so I ended up going for a 4-bet here. 4-bet bluff with ace queen. So we open, the cut-off 3-bets me, and I 4-bet non all in. We are playing pre-flop, what, like 50, no, 46, 50, 60. You're playing like 67, 65 effective, 60 big blinds effective. I see bet flop, they call. I bet 10 non all in, and they call. Then they go all in. So the main question for me was, does my hand want to 4-bet non all in? I think we can mix. I personally mix between like call and fold, call and 4-bet non all in. Easy, like, question. Not second question. Do I want to have big sizes in a 4-bet pot on the flop on this 10 high flop? And then third question is, does my hand want to? I mean, it's an easy bet fold, but does my hand want to use the small size on the 10, or does it want to jam? Does it want to jam? Put a max pressure on 10x. Put a max pressure on hands like what, like 8 9s. Hands like like even like hands like, I don't know, maybe like an ace 10 or something. We have the ace of hearts, which is interesting. So maybe we don't, because the 8 9 completes on the turn, which they have, and we don't. Yeah, interesting hand. Interesting hand. Let's have a look. So 55 pot 0.5. Okay. So let me just quickly let's do this. All right, so this is the recommended 4-betting range it's given. So in terms of 4-betting on all in, so it is a mix, like I said, between 4-bet and call, which I do. So yeah, I think this is reasonable. I think this is reasonable. Maybe not doing as much. Maybe I'm doing them non all in rather than all in. Yeah. So maybe we just fix that. So we do hijack. We do. I mean, I wouldn't be 4-betting these, right? So I personally like to do something like this in terms of my 4-betting range. Trying to think anything else. Yeah, no, this seems reasonable. I like to like pure call ace queen suited in this spot. Don't really love to like 4-bet fold that hand. Yeah. So again, yeah, the optimal size is a B40. I'm guessing is that because it's like 3E? Is that why? No. All right, so 3E is actually smaller, but I use even smaller again. All right, this will be the final hand. So what I'll do is I'll just remove. I'll remove them because I was only using this size. So yeah, so they make the call. You can see here, which again I think is reasonable. Yeah. Yeah, all right, cool. So that was a mistake by me, yeah. So we want to just basically have check shot all ends here. Yeah. So that was the biggest mistake by me. If we look at specifically ace queen off in terms of the EV, yeah, you can see the EV difference is crazy. Crazy. I just thought I want to be having some like non-all-ins with the likes of like aces and kings and stuff, but yeah, it's not. It's not. Just because like when we look at the ranges here, they have the best hands when it comes to like the straights, which we don't. We have obviously a lot more good hands. They have a lot more equity realization, which we don't because we're out of position. They have higher EV, but we have higher equity, so that's why we do get to just rip. And yeah, you can see here that this is our prefers to check ace king. So if we jam here, then we get a bunch of like what? I don't think king jack's folding. Like we put massive pressure on 10x. Like I said, like 9s and 8s is meant to call, which I don't think is doing in game. 6s 5s we get to fold. Bunch of worse ace highs we get to fold. Hello. Cool. Cool.